Hey everyone, Amber Temerity here. Thank you so much for joining me once again. Today I have Lindsey from Blog Me Lovely. So excited to be talking to her today and getting to know a little bit behind what exactly a blogging strategist is and more about branding. So welcome, Lindsey.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you. So kind of just to kick things off, can you tell us about how you got started on this journey as both like an entrepreneur and a blogger? Because I think you've been doing it for a few years, right?
I have. So I actually think it started way back at my 11th birthday. So it was my birthday present from my grandpa. He laid out computer parts on our pool table because we used to live with my grandparents. And we spent, my guess is it was a weekend. I don't remember. It was like years and years ago. But we spent the next few days building a computer from scratch. It was my first computer. And shortly after that, I discovered the drag and drop doll websites. So I loved it. So I was a 12-year-old with her own domain, with her own drag and drop doll website that I designed and I coded using Notepad back in the day, which is horrible to think about considering the awesome tools we have now. But it was so much fun. And then I kind of did it all through high school, and then I kind of dropped it. Back then, web design really wasn't a career option. Like nobody really talked about it. So I kind of dropped it, and then I got back into it, I think 2010. So that's 7.5 years ago now. And I created my first lifestyle blog. And since then, I've had blog after blog after blog. I'm notorious for changing my mind. And then it wasn't until June of 2016, so just over a year ago, that I decided, screw this, I want to do this for a living and actually offer services. So that's when Blog Me Lovely started. Well, I guess that was the relaunch. I had it maybe a few months before that, but I officially relaunched it June 2016, and that's kind of how I got into it. So, and I offer graphic design services, which is the primary thing that I offer. And then I've been getting into blogging strategy and content strategy since I have been blogging for so long. So,
yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I totally even forgot that doing coding in Notepad was a thing, but oh my gosh, I remember doing that too. And oh my, how times have changed.
It's kind of scary to think about. I can't believe I did it, and trying to find an error in Notepad. I can't even explain to the people who haven't had to experience it.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm having all sorts of flashbacks now. So for the viewers that haven't tuned in before and are sort of unfamiliar with the word temerity, temerity isn't just my middle name. It is also a sort of confidence, sometimes an overwhelming boldness. And I know fairly recently that you've sort of embraced your own temerity. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So on the last day of February, I think it was February 28th this year, I actually walked out on my job. So there was a lot of stuff leading up to that, and it was very scary. It's never how I wanted to leave a job. I should put that out there. I don't recommend just walking out, not giving notice, at all, because that's not how I planned it. But I know Amber knows I was going through a difficult time with work. The company had merged, I don't know, maybe a little over a year at that point. I'd got a new boss. Things had changed, and the atmosphere at the company was just really strained on both sides. I know they say give it two or 3 years after a merger to really let the dust settle, but people are kind of dropping left and right, finding a new job just because the atmosphere was strained. And I unfortunately felt like I was the unwanted stepchild for my new boss. I don't know if that was actually the case or if that's just how it felt. But there was another one of me who was with her in Tampa, and I'm here in California, and I just wasn't getting any of the fun projects at all. So I was a marketing coordinator. So you would think it would be creative and fun, and I was doing legal review. And I wasn't even actually doing it. I was coordinating with the lawyers to do the legal review. So that was my life, was coordinating with the divisions to make sure that the legal wording was right. And my boss didn't trust me to approve any creative changes. So that was a big blow because my previous boss basically gave me free reign, and she trusted, my design. So then going from a boss who trusted what I did to one who didn't trust what I did was kind of a low blow to my confidence. And I don't even know if she fully didn't trust me or if she was just more comfortable with the other girl. I'm not quite sure, but I felt like I would, like I said, like I was the unwanted stepchild. So it was very, very difficult. And my confidence started to, go downhill. And I finally got to a breaking point where I was getting sick. I would sleep all day long just because like I was so emotionally like not feeling well and physically not feeling well. I was having what I thought was asthma problems because I have asthma. It turns out I'm pretty sure it was stress related and many panic attacks because my lungs are actually good. So, which I know it's sad to think about, but I'm so happy now since I made the switch. So it's like, I don't know, it's kind of a blessing in disguise. But my breaking point was when I was waiting to get my review. We were supposed to get it mid-February, and I never got mine, and I didn't even know I was going to get a bonus. So I waited till the last day of February. I checked my bank account. I got my bonus. I went in, tied up loose ends, and left. I figured if I put in my 2 weeks notice, it would have been hell for the next 2 weeks. And she my boss found my website and confronted me and went to HR, and it was like a whole big thing. Even though HR said I was doing nothing wrong, my boss really didn't feel that way. So, and it's kind of hard because I liked her as a person. I just didn't like her as a boss. So it was kind of like a battle in my head too. And I also think it went from going from probably the best boss I ever had previously before the merger to one I didn't like as much. So, and I had the entrepreneurial bug. So kind of all of that built up, I was just like, no, I need to do it. And it was scary. I think I spent 2 days crying after I did it just because I had all this stress built up. But I did it. And it wasn't because my business was ready. And that was the scary part. And I ate through my savings so fast, and it was scary. And even just past month in June, I started the month going, how am I going to pay my rent? Because I just moved out. And June ended up being my best month yet. So it was very exciting. It's amazing what you can do when you really put your mind to it. And I was kind of put up against the wall, and I don't recommend that. Some people work well that way, others don't. But you just got to focus on what makes you happy and what you enjoy. And I think that's what the difference was, is when I was in my old job, I wasn't happy. So while I was getting a few clients here or there, I was so tired. I didn't have time to do the work. I wasn't emotionally ready to take on the clients. And then when I quit and started focusing on what makes me happy, going to Disneyland during the day, spending time with friends. One of my best friends is a photographer, and she's pregnant. Like 7 months pregnant. She's due in September, I think. So I've helped her at weddings, carrying her bag and fluffing the dresses. So I've been able to do stuff that I wouldn't be able to do otherwise. And it just makes me so much happier. And I've been attracting clients and projects that make me happy. And it was totally well worth it. And I would do it all over again if I had the option. So.
Yeah, I love that. I think my story, but I can so relate. And I know a lot of people watching this can relate because, even the part about like you went from the best boss ever to like someone you like as a person, but not as a boss. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, totally been there. And I've heard time and time again, my own experience from other people, like micromanagers are great because they nudge you into finding something better because mm-hmm. Yeah, people that micromanage, for some people it works, some people need that. But I think for a lot, if not all entrepreneurs, we don't deal well with that.
No, she wasn't even a micromanager, but well, she was on some things. But like I would go like weeks without hearing from her because she was on a separate coast. So I would go weeks without projects besides like the few small things I had on my plate. So I'd literally be sitting there pretending to work because I had nothing to do, and she didn't like me helping my old boss who was still there, and she just got moved a role, which was also different because I was so used to being able just to help anybody in our department or help anybody in the divisions without having to ask for permission or without feeling like I was doing something wrong. And I went to a spot where even our PR girl, who I loved, who was in our office, she'd have to ask my boss for permission if I could even like proofread something or help her on a project.
Oh my gosh.
So it got kind of hard. And like I said, I think it's just the two teams still kind of battling. I just think it hadn't settled yet. I feel like it would have got resolved. I just didn't want to stick through that. So
Yeah, especially if it's causing health problems, like that's not,
mhm.
it's not worth the stress. So, well, I'm really glad that June shaped up to be such an amazing month for you. So let's dive into that. Let's dive into the good stuff in your area
Mhm.
of expertise. Let's talk a little bit about branding, because I know a lot of people, when they hear branding, they think, picking some colors and a
Mhm.
logo. What else goes into developing an overall brand for your blog, your business, whatever it may be?
So that's a very loaded question, but I love it because, like you said, people think your brand is your logo and your colors, and that's it. But it is so much more than that. It is your colors and your fonts and your website. Those are like the visual aspects of your brand. But it goes to the wording. So like I like more feminine words. So obviously, Blog Me Lovely, and then my Facebook group, while it's not, I didn't, really tie it in too much. It has different colors and stuff, but it's the Lovely Entrepreneur Society. So, the lovely is still kind of in. Both of them are feminine feeling. So it's like the overall feel, the words you use, the just kind of everything. So your sales pages, the imagery, how you interact with people. So if you're answering people on Facebook, um, that actually affects it as well. So kind of how people perceive you, um, which you don't have control over, obviously. You can try your hardest to by the words you use, the questions you choose to answer, I guess the tone of your voice you try to portray in written text, the people you associate yourself with. Also, like if you notice, like Marie Forleo, she's always associated with all of those big people because she wants to have that. I mean, she offers a lot of free value, but she wants to have that really big, high value, well-known brand. So she associates herself with those types of people as well. I'm actually working on a branding course, so I'm trying to remember everything that went in it. But it is just it's pretty much everything. It's not just the visual aspects. Even your strategy, I'd say even your strategy, depending on what feels good to you. Like Gary Vaynerchuk, he's very in your face, all of that type of stuff. So all of his interactions, all of his sales emails, all of his podcast interviews, it's all I work harder than you do. That's why I'm successful. Type stuff. That's his brand. It's totally not me. It's a little too much for me. My boyfriend recently discovered him and loves him. He has good information. Not my favorite. Not my favorite person. It's a little too abrupt for me. But so that type of stuff.
So kind of like the overall energy you give out, which
Mm-hmm.
obviously ties in the visual aspects, but also, yeah, your voice and um, who you associate with. Because
Yeah.
again, yeah, like I love Gary Vee, absolutely, but I mean, and again, you know me fairly well. For me, it is like the cursing. Well, I'm not against that. It just feels aggressive to me. So yeah,
Same.
I could relate to that, and I do. I think that's part of why I am so drawn to you and your brand and what it is that you do, because you've got a bit more of that feminine energy. It's a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
flowy and soft, which is for me, both as a strategist myself and as somebody who is potentially in your target market as far as graphic design and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that's what I'm drawn to. So along those lines, obviously, when it comes to like our voice and our copy, we can outsource that to a certain point. But when it comes down to it, if you want a real business, you have to learn to do it yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
how would you suggest people draw the line between DIYing everything and outsourcing to someone like you or a copywriter or any of those?
So with a designer, so I can do branding and logos. It's not my favorite thing to do. I actually like to take somebody who already has their logo and their colors and kind of already knows what they want, and then translate it into like usable marketing materials, so social media templates. So people who don't really know how to take their brand and their fonts and colors and really put it into something they can use online that looks nice, or ebooks and workbooks and webinar slides. I've actually discovered those are like my favorite things to do. So I've been very excited that I've been getting a lot of those. Just because it's easier for me because we're not going back and forth on, you know, you thought you wanted, pink, but now that you see it on your website, you don't want it, which I get it. It's, when you do branding for yourself, it's a bit easier because you can make the tweaks, consistently without. But I feel it's hard sometimes for people to put into words what they want. They kind of know when they see it, or they think they know what they want, and then when they see it, it isn't. Like, I even had my old site before I redesigned it, and I thought it was what I wanted, and then I quickly became bored with it because it totally wasn't. And I redid the logo, I updated the colors, and my site's been this way since November, and I don't really want to change it. Right now I've done minor updates. For a copywriter, that's a bit difficult because I know copywriting for sales pages and stuff is a bit difficult. I've done some courses. I actually think I was in one with you, Lauren's sales page boot camp of Brave Entrepreneurs, which was great. But I know people still struggle with the actual coming up with content. So something that might help is if you have words or phrases that you consistently use, like if you kind of have like a little brand guide. So that could kind of help if you're working with a content writer, or even a brand person, if you have a brand guide with your fonts, colors, that type of stuff. So that can help. And a good copywriter should be able to kind of read through your stuff and be able to emulate your copy. Like I'm a writer, but I don't think I could ever really do major copywriting because if I had to, I could get somebody else's voice, but I'm more comfortable doing my own. And I know there are other people who just like thrive in, that kind of aspect. So or you could also try to find a copywriter who has a similar style to you. So if you're a female entrepreneur, find somebody who works with female entrepreneurs. We probably want to niche that down a little bit more because that's very, very broad. But, so just, and do a test run. I know I'm doing social media for a tactical boot company right now, which is totally out of my wheelhouse. But, I read through their past social media stuff and kind of got the feel of the words and tone they use. So a good copywriter should do that for you. But when you're starting out, I think it's important that you kind of do it yourself. So you start to get to know your own voice and what you like. Because if you don't know it, then nobody else can actually do it for you, because then you're not going to be happy.
I love that advice because, yeah, you do often see, and I mean, I think this goes for a lot of entrepreneurs, myself included, where we do it and then we want to do it again, not necessarily because we're unhappy with it, not necessarily even because we're bored with it, but because it takes a while to get a feel for your voice, the colors you want to use to express whatever sort of energy you're looking to put out there. So that's a really good piece of advice there, is to sort of DIY it first, unless you're familiar with working with color palettes and fonts and all that, which I'm not.
Yeah,
but that's what I did. I DIY'd. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hefty investment. So if you don't know what you want, it's not smart to kind of jump right in, because you might not be happy. You're going to come out with something you're not happy with, and it's not your fault. It's not the designer's fault, as long as they listen to you, of course. But it's just like you weren't ready, or you didn't know what you had, the vision you had yet. You didn't know how to communicate it, or really what you wanted.
Right. Yeah, I think that, again, very good advice to know exactly what you want when you're looking to outsource, because, I mean, even when you're attracted to somebody's energy and you adore them and you follow them online, and this goes for both someone hiring and somebody that is looking to be hired. If I came to you with nothing on my plate and said, okay, build me a website, obviously we wouldn't work well together, because like you said, I might come back and go, well, you know what? No, those colors are awful. Let's try these. So it's very good to know whether you are wanting to start from scratch and finding someone who likes to do that versus somebody who likes to work on a foundation that's already built. One other question related to that is, what do you think about people who forego logos, where they just go by, recognize my face, don't worry about the logo? Do you think that's a good route to take? Or do you think it really is imperative to have some sort of logo created for your brand?
I think a logo is important, but it can be a simple text logo. So you don't need to go, like mine for the most part is a text logo. There's a little heart in the O of lovely, but it's pretty basic. You don't need to have a huge, thought out with all these little pieces in your logo. Some of the best logos are simple anyways. A friend of mine, we've been talking about her blog, and she's been thinking about redoing her logo, and hers is just a simple text. And she's happy with it, but she wasn't sure if she needed something more. And I told her, if you're happy with it, and especially she's doing a fashion blog, I said, a simple text logo is typically common in that industry because you want to focus on the imagery. But like I said, I would have something. If you want to go by your face, fine. I know a few people who do that, but I think stick to similar colors. I know you always have your hair in the braid when you're on, and you tend to, well, you always have your little teal, and are those orange? I can't tell on my screen.
They're maroon-ish, that background.
Okay.
I made the mistake of putting decals on a textured wall, and then we're fighting right now. I have to get a new background, but yeah, I get what you're saying there.
Yeah, you always have like the same colors going on. I know I've seen your logo. I'm spacing right now, but I think yours is pretty basic too. It's nothing too extravagant, and I think that's kind of the way to go. Like I did a logo for someone recently. We're finishing up her website now, and she has a cute little sun and a cute little cast iron, but that fits hers. She's a food blogger, so they tend to have more cutesy stuff in their logos. But once again, it's a personal preference. I would say bare minimum a simple text logo where you use the same font throughout and the same colors you're wearing, throughout. But I know people are making a brand of their face. But even Marie Forleo has her logo, and it's very, very simple. And her brand is her videos and her live streams and stuff. So it's primarily her face. But even she has a small, basic logo.
That, again, very, very good advice. So if people want to learn more about you, obviously they can go to blogmelovely.com. Is that the best place to find you, or do you recommend them hopping over to your group? Where can we check you out?
So yeah, if they want to connect more personally with me, the group is probably the best place because I try to check it every day. It's the Lovely Entrepreneur Society, and you can actually go to thelovelyentrepreneursociety.com, and it'll forward to the group to make it easy. And then all of my content is on the blog. I'm actually doing a series right now on blog content. So like creating a content strategy. A second post will be going up this week. And just excited to kind of revamp my group recently. With my move and stuff, I was kind of distant, and excited to jump back in and really get it going again. We've got some more engagement starting to happen, which is very, very exciting to kind of get it back rolling.
That is very exciting. And obviously I'm a member of the group, so I'm all the more excited. And also real quick, so I know that you said you do like foundational or beyond foundational work and help people further develop their branding. But then you also do social media templates. Is that right?
I do social media templates, and I do love doing social media templates as well. So I do them in Photoshop, just because it has more, more power, I think, than Canva. And it's a program I'm more comfortable with. But yeah, so I do social media templates. I've done it for a few clients. You basically get a Pinterest, a Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram template, and up to 3 designs. Like, it's what I use on my own site. I have templates. So, and for me, it's just in the 3 different colors. And it just makes it easy. It makes sure all of my images are always on brand. So that's why I love templates. And whenever somebody is struggling with creating content and their images, go for a template. Even if you DIY it yourself in Canva, make yourself a template. Templates are like the best thing possible. They save you so much time and make sure you're always on brand, which is very important to me, obviously. So
yes, templates are obviously, I'm so much into efficiency, and if you don't have templates, talk to Lindsey because she will hook you up. Well, thank you so much, Lindsey, for taking the time to chat with us today. And again, hop over to her Facebook group. Like I said, I'm in there too. It's the Lovely Entrepreneur Society, or you can go to blogmelovely.com to check her out, get those templates, get some help with your branding, whatever you need. She's got you covered. So thank you again, Lindsey.
Thank you. I was so excited to hop on and plan on being in your group more too now that I'm finally settled in my lovely apartment that's not decorated. You can see the bare walls. I was hoping one of the kitties would appearance, but they're being lazy today. So, but
well, everything in time, right?
yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.